Hello everybody and welcome back to the main event. My name is Toby and today we are going to talk about champions, specifically across WWE and AEW. Now in 2023 we saw quite a few title changes and I want to talk about who is going to be champion at the end of 2024, this very year we are in right now. Now, I know when this video comes out, we are only a couple of days into the brand new year, and this might be a big punt or a big swing, but I think I know who should be champion, and let's be fair, I'm probably wrong. My predictions are usually. Now, just like any video where I make predictions, I want you to leave your predictions down in the comments. I'd love to see them. I'd love to see if any that I make are the same as yours. But let's get started with who I think will be WWE main roster's champions at the end of 2024. We begin with the undisputed WWE Universal Championship, and I know a lot of people believe that Roman Reigns is going to hold it for an entire new year, and I'm slightly inclined to agree, but I've got to stick with my guns. In a previous predictions video, I said that Cody Rhodes would win the title, and I think Cody Rhodes will hold the championship at the end of 2024. It only makes sense for him to finish a story this year. I don't think we can hold it off another year because it just could wreck underneath him, couldn't it? We could lose all faith in Cody, which I don't think Triple H really wants us to do. Plus, I think as a collective, we are all very bored of Roman, and WWE knows this, and I don't think they can keep eyes on screen if Cody doesn't win the championship at some point this year. Next, the World Heavyweight Championship, and I don't think it'll be Damian Priest or Seth Rollins at the end of this year. I once again am going to be going with a prediction I made in a previous video, and I fully believe that CM Punk will get the title this year. Not from Rollins, from Priest after a cash-in at Mania. From that, I think they're going to want to keep the title on CM Punk, especially when we don't know if Punk is being used for TV rights negotiations. They'll want him as the top guy on one of their brands for the whole time. And I think Punk will hold the title up to the end of 2024 and potentially lose it at WrestleMania next year. The Intercontinental Championship is next, and Gunther is going to lose it this year because that dude needs elevating to that main event scene. I don't think he'll win one of the top titles this year. I think they're going to save that for next year, maybe beating Punk or Cody. I think the Intercontinental Championship will be held, unfortunately, by Dominic Mysterio at the end of 2024. He is a heat magnet. He is all right in the ring. He's definitely gotten better than where he was when he started. I think he is at that level where he could win the Intercontinental Championship. I don't think he's beaten Gunther for it. Let's knock that idea out the boat. I think someone like Chad Gable will beat him, or Sheamus, or I don't know, Drew. No, not Drew. Someone. And then Dominic Mysterio will beat them, because I don't think it'll be a long title reign after Gunther loses it. I think it'll be more transitional, because it's always better when a heel holds a title. So having it on Dom, who could be that kind of chicken poo heel holding the belt, it'd be really, really fun. The United States Championship is next, and I think it's going to go to someone who would be looking to make a name for himself after being called up from NXT. And he might seem a babyface now, but I think he's going to be heel, and I think he'll be beating LA Knight for it after Knight beats Logan Paul at WrestleMania. I think the United States Champion at the end of 2024 will be Carmelo Hayes. He is a phenomenal talent and will instantly grasp the main roster audience, and I think they're going to want to push him and see if he can hold a title well on the main roster, and where better to start than a mid-card title like the United States Championship. And I think you could have him have quite a fruitful run with it. The Raw Tag Team Championships, I think they are going to be separated from the SmackDown Tag Team Championships at some point, possibly around Mania, and I think the champions at the end of 2024 will be the Creed brothers. It was far too early for them to win the championships on the Raw at the end of 2023, and yes, they've gotten over with the crowd, but I think we need to keep building them and make them such a force, have them have some good rivalries with someone like the Viking Raiders, and maybe even, I don't know, the New Day. It would be really interesting to see how they would handle the bigger teams. From there, I see them winning the belts, And I could see them having a really, really long reign with them, just knocking everybody over until they eventually get made to be single stars because, you know, WWE. Now on to the SmackDown tag team titles. I think these are going to go to a British team. And I don't think it's going to be Pretty Deadly. I think it will be the team of Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. At this time of recording, we are about to see Pete Dunne with a surprise tag team partner take on Pretty Deadly. And it's not going to be Ridge Holland, and I don't think it's going to be Sheamus. I think it will be Tyler Bate, seeing as they've done some stuff together in NXT. And I think keeping them as British Strong Style on the main roster will show some people just how good these two really are. Hopefully Pete Dunne is no longer Butch as well. I think they'll win the tag team titles towards the end of the year after having some interesting rivalries. I don't think they'll start being a dominant team for quite a while, but I do see them holding the titles at the end of this year. The WWE Women's Championship, I feel like Bayley is the obvious trajectory next. Obviously, we did have Charlotte, but I don't think Bayley would hold the title for too long. I think she'd win the title and possibly lose it to someone like, I don't know, Kairi Sane. I don't think it'll go straight back to Io. From there, I don't really like saying this, but it's WWE and they love their John Cena-esque people. I think the WWE Women's Championship at the end of 2024 will be held by Bianca Belair. Now for the Women's World Championship, and I think it's going to be held by the same person who finished 2023 with it. I think it's going to be held by Mammy herself, Rhea Ripley. Now, I do think she will lose the title at some point this year. I don't think we're going to have a Roman-style reign with this. I think it's going to be a case of she loses it around, I don't know, SummerSlam, wins it back a couple of months later, and then continues to hold it and show her dominance through the end of the year. And finally, for the main roster, we have the Women's Tag Team Championships, and I think it's going to be held by, I don't know, so I'm just gonna put a name out because I really don't want this title to be around anymore. I kind of want just a mid-card women's championship. So I'm going to take a punt, and it's going to be Chelsea Green because she's been the best thing to actually hold the title. And I don't know, Shayna Baszler. Let's say Chelsea and Shayna Baszler. Now we're going to take a look at NXT, and we have 5 championships so far. We start with the NXT Championship, and I think it is obviously going to be held by Trick Williams at the end of this year. I don't think he's going to win at this current attempt at Ilya Dragunov. Obviously, we're going to have Carmelo Hayes come into play, and Trick will then head off into a rivalry with Hayes until obviously Hayes is beaten and he's already establishing himself on the main roster. It's blatantly Melo's call-up now. And then I think when he has the back of Carmelo in his mind, Trick will go and beat Dragunov, and then Trick will hold the title until 2025 at best. The North American Championship is next, and I had to pine through the roster, and I don't know. I really struggled to actually find somebody I thought, yeah, you're the perfect person to end this year on. And then I remembered something that happened on a previous NXT where a team split up, and one of the members of said team really performed quite well at Deadline in the Iron Survivor match. I think the North American champion at the end of 2024, unless he's already on the main roster, might be Josh Briggs. The NXT Heritage Cup, currently held by Noam Dar, I believe? Yes. I think this is just another gimmick for them. I don't think it's going to be something that holds a lot of prestige by the end of 2024. So I'd put it on someone who themselves hasn't really been a massive deal, but you could start to make him a deal. I think it could be held by Charlie Dempsey. Obviously, being the son of William Regal, he's quite knowledgeable in the whole British rule style thing. And obviously, he's just been to AJPW at the time of recording. He didn't win the Triple Crown title, but he apparently had a good showing. So I would put the title on Charlie Dempsey, especially if you want him to be a focus on NXT coming forward. The NXT Tag Team Championships are next, and I think it might be time for Chase U. I know they've already held the titles, for a week or two, and we currently have the story with Chase U kind of failing, and they're going to potentially win the Dusty Rhodes Classic, because storyline that all the money will get spent on fixing the unit. In the end, I don't expect them to win the tag team titles, but down the line, I do. I think everything's going to come together. I think they're going to win the titles and have a fruitful reign with it. Whether it's 3 to 5 months, I don't know. But at the end of 2024, I half expect Duke and Andre to be champions. And finally for NXT, we have the Women's Championship. This is another one where it's kind of like there's so many names it could be, but none of them really stand out as the big deal bar someone like Cora. But I think it will be Thea Hale. I reckon Cora is going to be main roster by this point. Thea Hale, not so much. I think she's still got a way to go. We've seen Thea be the dumb blonde babyface, I guess. She's slightly a tweener now with JC and started up being a bit more heel. I think it's been a test to see what disposition she's better off in, and at that point they're going to capitalize her and make her the women's champion, and she will hold it alongside Chase U into the new year. And that does it for all the WWE picks, and now we go and jump over to AEW. Just to clarify, this won't be included in Ring of Honor. They try to keep that as its own separate entity, and I plan to, even though they like to put all the titles on AEW main TV. But I don't know what's going on there. For all I know, at the end of 2035, Athena will still be champion because she's the only thing that pulls on that roster. But we start with the main title itself, the AEW Championship. And if you watched my previous video about AEW predictions for this year, I think the champion at the end of 24 will be Swerve Strickland. He's the guy. I don't think you can put it on him at the start of the year because it's too quick. There still needs to be some tweaks made to make it feel like he's gonna do it, and then capitalize on him. Have him beat Joe, have him beat potentially Cole, I don't know, but have Swerve hold that title going into 2025, please. Now for the AEW TNT Championship, and cue the boos in the comments because my pick for this is Jack Perry. I feel like the Christian Cage storyline, now it's slightly done with Copeland, is going to take a turn where Luchasaurus becomes Luchasaurus again and beats Christian Cage for the title, only to then lose it to Jack Perry in a role reversal from their feud back at the start of last year. And Jack is a heat magnet, especially with what happened at All In, and a lot of people don't like him, so what a better heel to have holding the title than Jack Perry. The AEW International Championship is next, and obviously it's held by Orange Cassidy right now, and it looks like he might be going on another run with that belt. But I don't really want to see it. I think we've had the story and now it kind of feels like an epilogue. I really struggled with this one because I kept looking at people and thinking, oh yes, you're very good, but are you the kind of person to make other people look good whilst defending your title? And then it came to my head. Give Jay White the title. Give Jay White the title midway through this year, finally beating Orange Cassidy, and have him hold it for the rest of the year at best, and maybe have him lose it, I don't know, at the first pay-per-view or even the first Dynamite of 2025. I think he'd be good. He can put people over very, very well and make other wrestlers look good in defeat. The AEW Tag Team Championships are next, and I think it's gonna be held by the only member of the Elite who really, I think, will win a title this year, the Young Bucks. I think they're going to give themselves the belts again. I say that lightly because they blatantly don't. Tony Khan gives them it. But I think the Young Bucks having a heel run at the end of the year, holding the title and holding them ransom, basically, I think they'll go into 2025 with the belts. The Trios Championships are next, and I've realized that there are so many titles in AEW that this is getting ridiculous. Everybody can have a belt by the end of the year. I think a good team to potentially put down the Acclaimed and have a long, fruitful run with it would be the United Empire. Yes, Will Ospreay, Kyle Fletcher, and Mark Davis when he's finally back. I think them holding the belts are going to give great matches all the time. Every single match they will deliver the three of the best on the roster, and they might bring some eyes to that division that really needs more eyes on it because there's so many good trios in the company. Plus, obviously, Will going after a main title makes sense as soon as he comes in. It's Will Ospreay. He's arguably the best in the world. But I think give him a tag run to start with, let people get settled in with him, especially ones who aren't really that knowledgeable with his work. I think this is a great way to do it, and have him hold it into 2025 and then lose it and then win the world title. Now for the AEW Women's Championship. I think it's got to be Chris Statlander holding it at the end of the year. I think Chris is a talent that has consistently been growing. and getting more and more eyes on her and becoming more favourable with the crowd. I don't think she'll beat Toni Storm for it. There's a video coming soon that explains who I think she'll beat for it, but I do see Chris holding the title, having a really, really great babyface run, just looking like an absolute star, unlike what she did with the TBS title. The TBS Championship is next, and I don't think it'll be Julia Hart holding it at the end of the year. I don't even think it'll be Sky Blue, who I predict will beat Julia Hart for the title after a babyface turn. I think it's going to be someone who has been totally undermined majority of the time she's been there. Yes, she's already won a tournament, but isn't really being used as a big deal like she should be. I think the TBS Championship will be held by Willow Nightingale, especially at the end of 2024. The Continental Classic Championship now, a title I don't really understand how it all works, but it's there and it's on their page, so I've got to pick. I think the next winner, which probably won't come until the C2 this year, I think we're going to have an overarching story that stemmed in the first C2, and I think the winner will be Daniel Garcia, which would obviously mean he would hold the title at the end of 2024, because they would probably do the finals again at World's End, which would come right at the end of the year, meaning there probably won't be a Dynamite prior or a Collision for him to lose it. So lucky you, Daniel. And now finally, for a title that's not really a title but is a title belt that's not really recognized by AEW, we have the FTW Championship, and it's one word I've got to say who's going to hold this title: Hook. And they were all my predictions for who's going to be holding the titles at the end of 2024 in WWE and AEW. Remember to leave some comments down below with your predictions as who will hold all the belts. Or, you know, you can just disagree with me, that's fine. But please remember to subscribe to the channel, it really supports me out, and with a like as well on this video. That will do it for today. So I have been Toby, thanks for watching, and I will see you soon.